Hello, Wendy.
Hi, Chad.
All right, so the way that we start this, actually, Matt, will you mind going on Facebook and sharing with everybody and going on mine and sharing with all my people as well, now that we're live? Awesome, awesome.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. All right, so the way that we start these is I'm going to do questions from the box.
Okay.
This is just to get you flowing.
I'm ready
Just
to
to get you to
flow.
warm up.
I'm
Okay.
ready to
Would you like to
flow.
pick your own question?
No, you can pick it for me.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good one for you.
Okay.
If you didn't have to worry about money, what would you do with your life?
So one of the things I'm working for and one of my passion projects has been to help other women create wealth. So one of my big goals is to help 10,000 women become millionaire business owners. So if I didn't have to do my real estate to fund that, then that's probably what I'd be doing.
Okay.
So one of my big goals.
You're very loud. I think that's a great answer. Are you like, is that something you're actively working?
I'm working on it.
Yeah?
I teach a class around the country called Big Business, Bigger Life.
Okay.
And it's really for everyone, but I think it resonates with a lot of women, especially a lot of women who are struggling to build their businesses and create a life and have balance with their families.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You're also teaching, is it Quantum Leap? Are you teaching
Yeah,
that?
Quantum Leap for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're like,
on Saturday.
that's very cool.
Yeah, for 18 to 24-year-olds. So if anybody knows anyone, QLAustin.com, you can register.
QLAustin.com to register for Wendy's Quantum Leap class, and that's for young people between the ages of 18 to 24.
And it's on Saturday.
And it's on Saturday.
In Austin.
In Austin. Would you rather live by the beach or in the mountains?
I think I'd rather live by the beach.
Yeah, you're a beach girl?
Yeah, I'm not really a beach girl, but I like looking at the water.
Okay.
And if it's the mountains, it's probably cold. You
It's
know,
true.
I'm originally from Minnesota,
Okay.
so
Enough of that. Huh?
I'm done with the cold weather. So yeah, I
Pay
think
your
I think
dues.
if you're on the beach, you're probably warm somewhere.
Who's your favorite professional athlete?
Oh, this is terrible. I'm not a sports person. Okay, this is
Don't say a dead
okay.
one.
The first thing that came into my head was, so I do like to run.
Yeah?
And whenever I'm doing, so Jay and I have a trainer that comes to our house 3 days a week, and sometimes we do these little sprints up the hill. And I always pretend I'm FloJo, you know, Florence Joyner Kersey or whatever her name was, you know, with the really long fingernails. So that's the first thing that came into my head.
That's a great answer, Wendy.
I mean, you know.
Google that one because she may have
FloJo,
made that person
you know,
up.
with the long fingernails. Yeah.
Yeah, FloJo.
FloJo, is that right now?
Yeah,
that's right.
everybody knows
Okay,
FloJo.
very
She's
good.
an Olympic athlete.
Florence Joyner Kersey.
Yeah, so I'm just
Glad
like
to know.
pretending I'm FloJo.
Good.
Yeah.
You go with your mouth self. When you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I want us to be the president.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think you should be.
Well, maybe. I kind of gave that up. I did study political science though in college.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to
It's one
school?
of my majors. University of Wisconsin in Madison.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So every 4 years, are you like glued to the TV or the news? Are you still
Not really.
into it?
No. I mean, now I'm the president of my own business, so that's good enough for me.
Okay. Well, everybody, this is Open House at the Flower Box Club, and this is a show for real estate agents, and we're here at the Austin Southwest Market Center number 1 in Austin, Texas. And today my guest is the very special, the very wonderful, the very fabulous Wendy Papasan. Wendy, is it Papasan? What is the name of your company?
Papasan Properties Group.
Okay, Papasan Properties Group. Because I tried to Google it, and I didn't know if it was.
You got a lot of those comfy chairs
Yeah.
instead?
Yeah.
You're
So I
like,
was-
wait, that's not real estate.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk a lot about Wendy has been successful at the expansion model. She's been successful with building personal wealth. And so we're going to spend time talking about those two topics quite a bit, in addition to her real estate business, which is also an awesome business. If these topics are anything that you would like to share with your network, you can share this video on Facebook. Just click on the share button and let everyone else know out there that this is something that they should be listening to. And I think Wendy is going to have a lot of things to share that a lot of people will be interested to hear.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Wendy.
Yeah.
Let's start with the history. That's where we start these interviews. So tell me, and all the people listening in, how did you end up at KW?
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing before
Okay.
KW life?
So before I was with Keller Williams, I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years, and I was doing a lot of real estate investing. So I was buying rental properties and fixing them up and doing a few flips, but mostly buy and hold. So buying them, remodeling, and then renting them out and raising my family. And
How many kids?
Two.
Two
They're,
kids?
They're 11 and 12 now.
Okay.
And I became a stay-at-home mom, obviously, when the first one was born. And I did a lot of little projects. But when my son was about to enter in kindergarten, I thought, I'm not one of these moms who could just go shopping all day. I have to be busy and do things and contribute and give back. And so I thought, well, I might get my real estate license. And to be truly honest with you, my husband works obviously with with Gary over at Keller Williams International. And
for people that don't know,
yeah,
not so obvious to everybody.
Yeah, so he's been Gary's business partner for 15 years, and he's the co-author of 11 best-selling books with Gary.
The One Thing, Millionaire Real Estate Agent,
Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Hold, Flip, Shift, Your First Home, Green Your Home, all those. And Jay, a lot of people don't know, has never been a real estate agent. So he's an international expert and speaker on real estate, and yet he's never done a real estate transaction. And so for him, that was always a little awkward. Yeah. Being over at Keller Williams International, where most of the executives have been real estate agents. And so he encouraged me to get my real estate license. And I thought, well, I could save some money on these investment properties that we're buying, and then Jay will be a part of the team, and he'll feel better about it. And I honestly...
Such a good wife.
I know. I mean, am a great wife.
What a giver.
I know. Really,
I know.
We'll
help you with
I
that
hope he's
problem.
watching right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the beginning. Yeah, and then it just turned out that I loved team building. I loved, working with clients. I loved the whole real estate transaction. Loved everything about real estate. So it's kind of snowballed from there.
Okay. Well, tell us about that team that you've built. What is the structure?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So now we have 19 people on our team.
Okay.
We've got 3 people in St. Louis, which that team started about a year ago. And we have an expansion partner in Minneapolis, so we can serve people now in Austin, St. Louis, and Minnesota. And the rest of the people are here in Austin.
Okay.
And it just started out, we've grown from $3 million in volume in about 5 years ago to this year we'll be at about 60 million.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and most of that growth honestly has come in the last 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, our big goal is we want to be the #1 agent here at the Southwest Market Center. So in order to do that, we needed a few more people.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's terrific. I want to talk more about the expansion stuff later, but I want to dig in right away. Claire Boney had some questions for you. She came in and said,
Oh, okay.
By the way, Claire's the one that said her biggest ahas have come from Wendy Papasan.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so I thought that was very cool.
An exceptional talent.
So I prefaced that. I wanted to warm her up because she asked some very personal questions, and I hope that you're comfortable with them. So Claire was saying, being at Keller Williams, we always talk about thinking bigger and living a big life. Mm-hmm. Jay was here first. Mm-hmm. Was he the person that was thinking bigger, wanting to live a bigger life, and you were a stay-at-home mom? When did you guys get on the same page with making that happen?
That's a great question. So I would say that naturally, in our relationship, I've always been the saver. I come from a background where I always thought it was better to save money and be thrifty and not spend it. And Jay's always had more of an abundance mindset. And so that partnership's always been good for us because I think we've both grown in that regard. And
grown in terms of he's better at saving, you're living more abundantly, or you balance,
exactly.
You're yin and yang.
Yeah, I think we've both grown.
Okay.
But we got on the same page pretty early on because everything that he learned at Keller Williams permeated into our life at home.
Sure.
And one of the biggest ahas for us is one of the first meetings that Jay had over at Keller Williams. Mo Anderson taught a class on how to read a P&L. And Mo Anderson was the president at the time of Keller Williams. And as luck would have it, Jay was the only one that showed up for that class.
Wow.
So it was just him and Mo, because there was only about 30 people that worked there at the time. So he and Mo had this class, and it ended up turning into a discussion about how to grow your net worth and what your net worth was. And for both of us, it was a very revealing conversation because we were renting at the time. We just moved here from New York City. We had a car that we shared, and yet we were 30. We weren't young, not old, but not young. And so he came home, and he said, I think we need to start thinking about our finances. And so that was when we started tracking our net worth, and we created these giant goals what I thought were just massive goals at the time. And so it was really those big goals of, first of all, becoming a net worth millionaire. We decided that we would look up our net worth, and our net worth was about $4,000. And we thought, wow, okay, here we have both been working for a decade, and our net worth is $4,000. So we were like, in 10 years, we want to be net worth millionaires. We want to have $75,000 in passive income. We want to own 10 rental properties, and we want to own our house free and clear. And it was really those goals, I would say, more than anything, that caused me to stretch my thinking. And Jay was always encouraging on that side. But just doing that exercise and then tracking our net worth really every month for many years. And I'm, really happy to report that we've met and exceeded all those goals 15 years later. Yeah.
15 years later.
Yeah.
So you guys, you were both 30. You guys are the same age.
I think he was 31 and I was 29.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I was working for the state. I was
Okay.
making $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
So and Jay was actually at the time the lowest paid employee at Keller Williams International.
Okay.
Which he knew because somebody put a list of all the employees and what they made on his desk that year. And so we weren't making a lot of money, and so for us to have that, even $75,000 in passive income and income that we didn't actually work for was a huge goal for us.
Yeah. How long had you guys been married at the time?
That was right after we got married, so maybe like a year or two.
So what was that conversation like? Was there tension to get on the same page with that, or did you jump on board right away and you're like, let's go with it?
I think we were both on the same page.
Okay.
I didn't come from a lot of money, and so I have people in my family that I need to take care of. And when God gives you the gift to make money, you should use it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. If you guys have questions for Wendy about any of these topics, you can leave those in the comments, and we will get to your questions, all of them, if at all possible. Let's shift a little bit, Wendy, to your real estate business, and some of that stuff we're going to come back to. But let's talk about your real estate business. Melanie Kenneman wanted you to talk about. Melanie is the team leader here at the Southwest Market Center. She wanted you to talk about the business going from the $3 million to your projected $60 million this year. Can you talk about that breakthrough? What happened to really propel you forward like that?
Well, so the gift that I got was the gift that Jay gave me, because he'd been going to a lot of these masterminds with Gary's Top 100 group, and he would always come back, and anybody who's ever been in those top groups knows that all Gary talks about is getting great help. And so he would come back and talk to me about that, and I guess it must have sunk in, because when I started my real estate business, Jay was very emphatic about, you're not going to be one of these crazy realtors who, gives up their family and is working all the time and all hours and on the weekends and things like that. And so he really encouraged me to get leverage right away.
Okay.
And so the first thing that I did was, after about 3 transactions, I hired a contract to close person, which I think you guys do that, right?
We do.
Yeah. So you guys weren't here,
Thank
obviously.
you for the plug. Yes.
Well,
thank you.
but I mean, it's very. I think a lot of people don't understand that it's a super inexpensive way to take a lot of the details off your plate, so that you can focus on what you're good at. And I just was never good at it. I was never getting my green sheets in. I was not getting paid. All this stuff was piling up behind me. And so as soon as I offloaded that allowed me to continue to focus on what I was good at, which was working with clients. And then I knew I wanted more leverage. And I also was smart enough to start leveraging some of my home responsibilities. So I got an accountant to help with some of our investment properties. I, got a house cleaner at that point, just to free up your time, because in real estate, your time is your money.
So you didn't look at those things as expenses, or did you look at like the maid? Do you look at that as an expense, or is that truly leverage?
It's leverage. For sure, it's leverage. Yeah, because I think a lot of women, they feel really responsible for maintaining their home. There's a lot of social pressure, I think,
and guilt probably.
Yeah, it's like I'm not taking care of my family if I'm not cleaning the toilet. I'm so beyond that. Thank God. But at a certain point, I really wasn't, because I grew up in a small town in northern Minnesota, and I didn't grow up knowing anyone who had a housekeeper.
Yeah, it's a foreign idea.
Yeah, and so I also grew up with these ideas that money is bad, and rich people are bad, and things like that. And you can hire a housekeeper. There's something wrong with you. My whole family is like hardworking Minnesota farmers,
salt of the earth.
Yeah, like my great grandmother shoveled her own walk until she was well into her 90s. And like 3 feet of snow. I'm not talking like Austin snow. I'm talking like Minnesota snow. And so that was a big, that was hard. That was really hard for me to do that. And yet when I did it, it freed me up to do the things that I was really good at. And when you're doing the things that you're good at, you just have more passion for them, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first hire.
Okay.
And tell me about what you've learned since making that first hire.
Okay.
And as far as the hiring process is concerned.
So I thought my first hire, I thought she was amazing. Because I did not take any kind of class. Jay encouraged me to take Recruit Select. And I was like, you just walk me through it.
Yeah.
So he walked me through it. And, I did end up with 3 candidates. One of which was better than the other 2. And, but I could only hire, you can only attract people, you can only attract the level of talent to who you are as a leader, right? So at that time, that was all I could attract. And she was great. She did a lot of tasks for me, but very soon I realized I needed someone who could be more of a leader in my organization. And so then my next hire was Rosalind Luna, the great and powerful Roz, we call her.
Yep.
She and I have been working together for 4 years now, and now she's running my expansion team in St. Louis.
Okay.
So, and she started out as a assistant and then became an assistant executive. And at the end, when she was here in Austin, she was running our whole operations team, hiring and training people. And then when her husband had an opportunity to move to St. Louis, she's now overseeing that. And my plan is to be in business with her for a long time. And when you meet great people like that who are leaders and they can grow with you, that's where the power comes from.
What do you look for now when you're hiring? What have you learned? What are the little red flags that go up in your mind?
Sure. We have something Keller Williams called the KPA. It's like a personality assessment test. And this year I've done like 70 of them, a ton.
Wow.
Yeah, and when you do that many, you really start to understand, it's like going on listing appointments. If you're only going on 1 listing appointment a month, you're never going to really get good at it. But when you're going on 10 listing appointments a week or validating...
Where are you finding these people? I mean, because of
all over the place.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Do you post things online?
We do postings online. My whole team is engaged in sending people to me.
Okay.
I get a lot of referrals from actually other Keller Williams agents who know friends that are moving to Austin. We've got 100 people moving to Austin every day.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that I look for are I want somebody who's optimistic. I like working with optimistic people. I like working with smart people. You don't have to be smart to succeed in real estate, but I like being around smart people, so why not hire that? I like people who are fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're a work hard, play hard team. I like people who are hardworking and have a track record of success. I want people who are looking for a big opportunity, and I would say anybody on my team knows that I'm always looking for opportunity for my people, and so I'm looking for people who want opportunity, because I know that if someone comes on my team and I can make them a millionaire, they're going to make me a lot of money too.
Yeah. How much rope do you give them to hang themselves in terms of the opportunity? Do you say, if there's opportunity, find it, let's work together, or do you put the onus on yourself to create opportunity for them?
I would say both.
Okay.
Like, everybody knows that if they want to bring something to me, I'm totally open to it. And at the same time, I'm keeping my eyes open for my people too.
So you wear that responsibility for them?
That's part of my job as a leader, for sure. Yeah.
Let's move into the expansion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Roz started that for you. Do you want to talk about that process and how that happened?
Sure. So, like I said, her husband got a job he couldn't refuse in St. Louis, and I really didn't want to be out of business with Rosalind, and so when she moved there, she decided she was going to start an expansion team for us there. Of course, that's the ideal way to start an expansion team because you trust and know that person. And she was my operations director, so she knows the operations inside and out. So it's a little different probably than most people start. But still, the process was a big learning experience for us because when you're doing something remotely and there's different players and laws and everything involved, you get to turn your business inside out and look at it that way, which is just a very helpful way to look at your business.
Yeah, it's a good exercise.
It's a great exercise.
To do that.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for folks who are thinking about expanding to a new city? What things have you learned about that process, and should folks be putting in place for themselves who are thinking about expanding?
Well, I would say, first of all, expand in your own city as much as you can. It's just so much easier.
Okay.
One of the things that we're doing now is we hired someone who's going to be our exclusive Georgetown expansion agent.
Okay.
She's not going to office here, and yet she's going to come here for team meetings and things like that. Because you know the traffic here is terrible,
right?
And then we're looking for agents in Kyle and Lakeway because what you focus on expands. You know, can we service a listing in Kyle? Yeah, of course we can. Lakeway, it's only 20 minutes away, and yet somebody who's there, living there in the community, knows the area, knows everything. That's just way better customer service. So I would say definitely expand in your city. And then in your state, and then only then think about going out of state because it's hard on your admin team to have to come up with new systems and processes that have to do with different laws and different contracts and things like that.
Okay. When it comes to finding agents for your expansion team, what is in it for the agent? It's very crystal clear what's in it for the person that owns the business who's expanding, but as an agent, why would you attach yourself to the Papasan group as opposed to joining a team somewhere else?
Well, we have a long value proposition that we've created to show people. But if you're a new agent and it's the same reason people join my team here. So I would say if you're a new agent and you want to have be able to focus on what you're good at and just be a sales agent and not create your own team, then you can be affiliated with us, and we do all your listing management, all the contract to close, all the admin stuff. We keep in touch with your sphere. We'll lead generate for you. All those things that we do for the agents on our team, we could do it in another location.
Okay.
So that, and then also, this kind of bigger thinking and this abundant mentality and this idea of wealth building. You're not going to necessarily get that everywhere. And being affiliated with Market Center #1, where we've got, I don't even know how many people who closed $1 million in real estate we had our best month ever in November. I think we had 26 closings. We closed like $7.5 million worth of real estate. And yet we weren't #1. We were 2.
It's a very high bar.
We were 2. We've got the house.
You were a little pissed off about that. I hear it in your voice. We were 2.
But yeah, that elevates everybody here.
Yeah.
And so that abundant mentality and elevating, just elevating everyone and being around that. There are people who would love to be affiliated with that here that are in another state or another city.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do the lightning round. What do you say?
Uh-oh.
You up for this, Wendy?
Yes.
I'm up for it.
All right. So these are just little simple questions that just whatever comes to the top of your head.
Okay.
All right. So
I hope I don't say anything dumb.
you won't. Trust me.
Or embarrassing.
No, you're doing wonderfully. Santa or elves?
Santa.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Santa.
Do you have something? Do you have a problem with elves?
No, I don't have a problem with elves, but I mean, if I was like trapped in an elevator with one or the other,
I'd take Santa.
I would take Santa.
Yeah. As long as he hasn't been drinking and he's clean.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and especially if you watch the movie Elf.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Checkings or savings?
Savings.
Savings?
Yeah. Per my, what I said before. Yeah.
Favorite destination? You're a traveler, yeah? I follow you on
destination.
Instagram.
Oh, well, I do love Italy.
Yeah? Which part?
I mean, I've been to a lot of places in Italy. So, I mean, my favorite part is probably a small town that nobody's ever heard of that you stumble upon an afternoon driving around Italy. That would be my favorite part of Italy.
Yeah, and you're not going to tell anybody what that is. So.
No, I mean, it's just everywhere, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's not an actual
So,
specific
got
place, but the idea
Got
of
it.
it.
The
yeah.
idea of stumble.
Yeah.
Okay. When Wendy walks around the office, she's always wearing headphones. Always. So I got to know, what are you listening to?
Well, truthfully, when I'm working, I listen to the Pandora Electronica station. So, like this morning, I came in and my buyer agent was like, "Oh, Daft Punk, nice, Wendy."
I love it.
Yeah. So, surprise.
You're such a cool girl. I love it. The book that everyone should read. You cannot say the one thing.
I can't say the one thing. I would say the book that everyone should read is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Yeah,
Okay.
just because this idea of your mindset changing your life and thoughts coming before actions is really powerful. And if you can truly understand that, you can do anything you want. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing your big why?
My big why is to empower and inspire big thinking leaders to create a life of abundance for themselves and everyone they serve.
Okay. That sounded like you've rehearsed that.
I've rehearsed it.
You know that.
Yeah, I know it.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk
I
about.
live it.
You live it. That's
Yeah.
great. Let's talk about building wealth. I'd like for you to. You mentioned it a little bit about your upbringing. Let's start back at the beginning.
Sure.
You as a little girl, you growing up.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing
Yeah.
like?
So yeah, I grew up lower middle class in a small town in northern Minnesota, and I had a lot of beliefs about money that I think most people do, that money's bad and money's the root of all evil, and my parents fought a lot about money, and my dad was a saver and my mom was a spender, and that's still true today, even though they're divorced. And so I forget the question. Actually.
Did you get a good financial literacy as a kid?
No, not
Was
at
money
all.
talked about?
No,
Just fought about?
Yeah, just fought about it, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
it was. I remember my mom wanting to spend money, and me actually not feeling comfortable with going out and her spending it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but I've always looked for role models. That's one of the things I think I'm good at is I'm very coachable and looking for role models out there. And I would say, I've always been very thrifty.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And then I met Jay, and he had this kind of abundance mentality, and Keller Williams gives you this abundance mentality. And so then I was like, wow, it's great to be thrifty, and you could make a lot of money too, and the combination together, you can do a lot of things, So yeah.
So you mentioned earlier you didn't come from a family with a whole lot of money.
No.
Okay. What would you say is the Wendy Papasan manifesto on money? How do you view money now? My therapist tells me that everybody comes to money with a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
It's a topic that everybody brings.
Yeah.
What, is money a function? Is it freedom? Is it power?
Money,
what is it to you?
Money for me, money is good for the good it can do. And for me, I have a very helping personality. If I look back on my life, I've just wanted to help a lot of people. And so for me, money allows me to help a lot of people. And I want to be able to do, we've had this amazing role model with Gary Keller in our lives, who can literally, if he wants to, he can change somebody's life by writing a check for $10,000. I'd love to be able to do that.
Okay.
And not have to choose between writing that check and making a couple mortgage payments or buying a new car. I want to be able to do it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit earlier, but for those folks that are coming in later to watch the show, when in your life did you make the decision to start focusing on being intentional about building wealth?
Mm-hmm. So it was really that conversation that Jay had with Mo, where we came home. We realized after working a cumulative of 20 years, our net worth was about $4,000. And so sometime there later, we created these big goals for ourselves, which was $75,000 in passive income, which was income that we didn't actively work for a year.
Okay.
Our house paid off, we wanted to be net worth millionaires, and we wanted to own 10 rental properties. And then we became intentional about updating our net worth every single month. And so we would meet on one Sunday a month, and we didn't have Mint, which is the app that we use now, but back then we would, call the mortgage companies and see how much our debt had been paid down and log into our bank accounts, and really that number became everything to us. Because at the end of the day, if you're about to buy a new car or make a major purchase or even a sofa, you don't want to see your net worth go down. You really don't. And if you're buying a new car, it's going to go down drastically. And so that for us, that tracking of the net worth is what pulled us through. And then as we became wealthier, our net worth goals grew. So now we have these really big net worth goals. And so I'm thinking, like, what can I do this year to, let's say, increase my net worth by $1 million? And so for me, that's gonna create the habits and the thinking and everything that's gonna pull me through to that big goal. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of habits, growing up in a fixed income family, how do you get past those habits of a limiting belief? I mean, you've summed it up into this conversation with Jay, but I have a hard time believing that it's like one conversation and it's like
not.
All of it's changed.
No, it's not really. I mean, I grew up with a dad and a mom who always told me I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I don't think I had like a fixed mindset that I couldn't achieve things. But it's a self-actualization is a gradual process, and it's a changing of your thinking. We're so patterned by our upbringing that we don't even realize it. And it's only by working on yourself day after day after day. I mean, these past 7 years that I've been in real estate have been a huge growth journey for me. I'm just not the same person that I was 7 years ago at all. And I really worked on myself. I've read books, I've listen to podcasts. I spend more money on classes probably than 99% of all Keller Williams agents. I am constantly working on myself, and I know that in another 5 years that I'm not going to be the same person that I am today. And it's not just one conversation. It's day after day after day after day. I mean, I'm constantly feeding my brain. And now what I'm doing is I do a lot of teaching, because the best way to learn is to teach.
Yep. So I'm obsessed with this idea right now of surplus. So everybody has here's my monthly expenses, here's what's got to go out. But pushing beyond that, when you're not coming from a background of means, there is a little bit of guilt, I think, associated with surplus. How do you work through that?
I love that, because I don't know, some of you out there are probably taking Bold. It's Keller Williams class. I don't know if you've taken it. But it's one of the really good exercises in there is an exercise called your financial thermostat. And I've taken Bold 6 times now. And the first time I took it, this exercise was very difficult for me. I was within my first year of real estate. And what it asks you to do is to enter in a check register. Okay, so you start out one day with $100, and then you have to spend it that day. And then the next day you have $200 and you have to spend it, and then you keep doubling and doubling and doubling until you're in the millions of dollars. And I found that very quickly my wants tapped out.
Yeah.
Okay, they tapped out really quickly. And what I've been able to do over the past 7 years is continue to want. You have to want more. You really do. You have to
for yourself.
For not necessarily for yourself. I mean, one of our big goals now is we want to start a foundation.
Okay.
And what do I need to start a foundation? Well, I probably need like $2 million. And so, but yeah, that guilt is there. I still feel it inside me, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So one of our big goals this year is we're remodeling our house, and it's an expensive remodel. And we talked about it for several years now, and there's just a part of me still that's like, oh, it's so much money. But earlier this year, I let go of that, knowing that having this big goal and spending this much money is going to allow me to make that much more money, and then at the same time help everybody on my team make more money too.
When you started that process, did you feel like you deserved the remodel? Did that play into it for you?
I don't know if it's deserving, but it's I just.
What is the guilt? I mean, guilt is like
I don't know.
Guilt, right? That's just such a broad word. But can you be more specific? What? I mean, so the wealth that the net worth, the wealth that you're accumulating, like does that just sit in an account somewhere? And at what point are you just like...
I mean, your net worth, it's not all liquid. So, I mean, a lot of it's in real estate, and it's the equity in properties and things like that. So a lot of it's not just sitting in a bank account somewhere. It's building generational wealth. I'd love to be able to, I had to pay my way through college, and I'd love to be able to let my, and I made choices on my career after college based on money. I was a broadcast journalism major and a political science major, and a part of me would have loved to go into broadcast journalism.
I can see you on CNN.
Thank you. And yet I didn't do that because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make enough money, because you have to kind of pay your dues there. And so I want my kids to be able to pursue whatever passion that they want, not based on financial reasons.
Do you think you're more motivated by the opportunity for that or the fear of not being able to do that? What drives you more?
I'm not a fear-based person.
You're not?
I'm really not. Yeah, I leverage Jay. Jay does all the worrying in our family. Yeah, I leverage that out.
Let him go gray, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is my natural color.
Looks great.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you're living a life of abundance and you're living a life where you don't want a limiting belief set, how do you set a goal? Mm-hmm. Isn't that sort of antithetical?
Well, I think I'm not the kind of person who's ever had that ability to think out 10 years. Even though Jay and I set those 10-year goals, a lot of that was driven by him.
So he's a 10-year guy.
He's a 10-year guy.
What are you, like a 90-day girl?
Well, no, I can definitely think out a year.
Okay.
But that's constantly changing for me. So it's more incremental. It's not like I'm like 10 years, but it's easier for me now just because I've probably lived with Jay for 16 years and we've been doing it. But I would say at first, my goals were really always real small for my real estate team. And it's just I never said like, oh, in 5 years I want to be at 60 million.
It's super hard to see that even 5 years. It's
so hard.
So
hard. It's so hard. And in retrospect, you understand that we overestimate what we can do in a year and severely underestimate what we can do in 5 years. But it's only in retrospect. And so for me, having that perspective, looking back 5 years, I can see it now. I can jump ahead, but even still, I'm like, what is it going to be like in 5 years? I don't know. It's hard. It's extremely challenging, and I'm not that person. So every year, it's like, okay, can I think bigger? Can I think bigger? Can I think bigger? And all those little tiny think biggers turn into all of a sudden you're at the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Steps that someone should take today to start building their personal wealth.
Great question. So I would say, especially if you're in real estate, definitely purchase a home. If you don't own your own home. If you don't own your own home. If you do own your own home, a great way to build wealth is to have an investment property. And the best way to do that is to keep your home that you have and buy a second home and move into that one. Keep the first one as a rental.
Okay. That's
a super easy way to do that. It may not be appropriate to do that with your first one, but if it is, if you're in a starter home or whatever, then definitely do that. And I've had conversations with top agents in this office. The number 2 agent in this office, I ran into her in the hallway, and you think she would know a lot about real estate, and I actually changed her life by a very casual conversation. And I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this because it did change her life. And she was telling me she was about to sell her first house, and I just asked her, why are you going to sell that? Why aren't you going to keep it as an investment property? And she just turned to me, and she hadn't even thought about it. And that was a gift that somebody gave us when we were going to sell our first rental property. Mm-hmm. And what we realized was, wow, this investment that we made. So we bought our first house in Austin. It was $175,000. We put 3.5% down, which was like $8,000. that $8,000, we lived in it for 3 years, so we paid our mortgage payments for 3 years. Since then, for the last 10 years, somebody else has been paying our mortgage, and the property's been appreciating unbelievably so. So that $8,000 plus the 3 years of mortgage payments that we made have turned an $8,000 investment into over $400,000 because the property is now worth $525,000. I mean, can you take $8,000 and turn it into $4,000 in 13 years in the stock market? Maybe if you're super lucky, but not really.
Yeah.
And not every real estate opportunity is going to be like that because
Not every
we're here.
market's going to be like that.
Because we're here in
Results
Austin,
are not typical.
Texas.
Check with
Yeah,
your local
exactly,
experts. Yeah.
exactly. And yet, everyone who does that, who is in the long-term buy and hold game, is eventually gonna make money.
So your mindset for building wealth is through real estate.
It's through real estate, but we're diversified. So we have a 529 for our kids' college. We have a 401k that we've got a lot of money sacked away in. But now that we have these bigger net worth goals, we're having to come up with bigger ideas. So one of the things that I'm focused on this year is perhaps getting ownership in a market center, in a real estate office, and then Jay and I are partners in a venture capital firm, in a publishing company, and so having that big net worth goal will cause you to think like, okay, I need to buy an apartment building this year, or what am I going to do to make this goal?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Other tools, you mentioned Mint, but are there other tools that folks can use to help them?
Yeah, mint.com is awesome. You can just be, in line at the grocery store and be like, oh, I need to check my net worth, So that's a good reminder. I'm trying to think of what other financial tools we use. I would say one of the great things that we did was, this isn't really a tool, but sort of, Jay and I take a yearly retreat. And we usually do that in the fall, where we talk about all of our goals for our marriage, for our children, for our businesses, for our finances. And the first year we did that, we had this long list of questions. And that gave us kind of a baseline for everything.
What kind of questions?
It's just like, how do you feel about our marriage? Do we want our kids to go to public school or private school? It was just a bunch of questions that I cobbled together from the internet, honestly. Okay. But then we spent like 2 days together going over the questions. And now every year we update this kind of baseline metrics that we have for our life. And just taking that time away to do that with your spouse is huge, because that totally gets you guys on the same page as far as your finances. And especially if you're about to get married or recently married or struggling with finances, because I just think everybody has their own idea about money and how it works. Yeah. And getting on the same page about money is huge.
Do you guys do that once a year? Do
we
you
do
check
that
in with that at all?
We do it once a year, but we talk about our goals a lot. I mean, probably too much. Okay. My kids are like, Mom, Dad, shut up,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, word nerd. And as we get this going here with Wendy, if you guys watching would like to submit your questions in the comments section, we will take those questions. Now is a good time to get those submitted. So Wendy, in Word Nerd, I'm going to give you a series of words, and you just tell me what you think they mean.
Okay.
You don't have to be right. You're not supposed to know what they mean,
Right.
But this is kind of fun. All right, mouse potato.
Mouse potato.
Yeah.
Well, that's obviously a potato that's been carved to look like a mouse.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right. It's a person who spends a large amount of their leisure or working time on a computer.
Oh, like a couch potato.
It looks like a mouse potato.
Oh, mouse potato. I like that.
Ka-dum-bum. Hobby naughty.
It's like Hobby Lobby, but
Hobby naughty.
But it's like the lingerie version.
Okay. Like Victoria's Sister's store.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a foolish person.
Oh.
I think the next one you're going to be able to use in real life. Ogdode.
Ogdode.
It's right there. Ogdode.
How do you spell it? Oh, Ogdode. Sounds like a character in a Harry Potter novel.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a group or set of 8.
Oh, okay.
Stash that one away.
Ogdode. Yeah. I'll use that in my class on Saturday. All right, everybody, we're going to split up into Ogdos.
Ogdos, yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Screenager.
A screenager? Yeah, that's a screaming teenager.
It is a person in their teens or 20s who has an aptitude for using computers and the internet.
Ah, screenager.
We're going to have Ogdos as screenagers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
The next one is...
That sounds like a lot of mashed potatoes.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah.
A whoopee.
Whoopee. It's wasn't there that show? What was that called? The dating game or something, where they're always talking about making whoopee.
This is rated G. It's an affluent retired person
the hobby naughty.
able to pursue an active lifestyle.
Huh.
So you and Jay can be whoopies. Making whoopee.
Making whoopee.
There you go. Any questions, Matt?
None yet.
Yeah.
No question.
Well, Ross.
$75,000 of passive income. Would that be like rental property? Thank you for the question, Ross
Yes.
Krejci.
Rental properties, profit share, income from businesses, market center ownership.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. Good. Let's talk about your work-life balance just a little bit here.
Okay.
How do you do it?
Well, I would say it's more counterbalance than perfect balance. Right now, we're in the middle of this big house remodel, so we're going to be moving on Monday. And, it's just crazy in our house right now. We've got all holiday events. I had the team holiday party. I had to have another friend's house. So what I told my kids was, I was like, listen, and this is kind of how they understand this. I'm like, listen, there's not going to be any holiday cheer until the 12th of December. And then after that, we're going to be full on holiday cheer. So we do a lot of that where it's like I might get a little crazy around our house, but then we take a lot of vacations. My kids go to an alternative school now where they get a full week of vacation every 6 weeks, and we take advantage of it. I mean, Jay and I take at least 6 to 8 weeks of vacation every year.
Great.
And that's, focused family time. And, if they feel a little neglected in between, well, it's not going to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If the old you could see the new you, what would she say?
Well, I think the old me is, well, I think it's the same me inside, but just in a different way. The old me, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she'd say. She'd probably say, I don't know. I really don't know. That's a hard question.
What would the new you say to the old you?
I think I would say do everything exactly the way you did it because you learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No regrets. I'm a big time no regrets person.
I think that's good.
I view everything as experiential learning. Yeah. Fail your way to success.
I saw someone post on your Facebook page about failing forward.
Mhm.
Are you a big advocate of that?
Yeah. Everybody on my team understands that. I'd rather have somebody make a mistake. Obviously, you don't want to make it more than once, but that's just the best way to learn. I mean, and I think about the last 5 years for me, and it's really been fall down, skin your knee, get back up, fall down, skin your knee, get back up, fall down, skin your knee, get back up.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, yeah.
We've got, please talk about profit share. This is, you just mentioned it as passive income, but is this a focus in your company?
That's from Ross.
That's also from Ross.
That's great.
Okay, great question. So yeah, it is something that Jay and I have been more focused on recently. To date, we've received more than $100,000 in profit share. Not this year, but since Jay started working at Keller Williams, and we're just watching that grow and grow and grow. I think this year we're at about $26,000 alone. So Jay's been with Keller Williams for 16 years, so you can see how that's grown exponentially. And just focusing on a little bit and sharing, the message of Keller Williams with people can affect not only me, I think about, gosh, what is that going to look like in 5 years? But also my children. It's a gift that you can pass on to your kids.
Mhm.
Like, that blows me away.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It blows me away.
Pretty cool.
So.
Very good. Well, Wendy, thank you so much. Do you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say you should get your license and hang it with Keller Williams and get profit share yourself.
I'm signed up to profit share.
Oh, you are? Okay,
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I just don't spend a whole lot of time on it. I need to.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Someday.
Yeah, someday.
You got another one thing.
There's a lot going on.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Matt, we good?
Yeah.
Wendy, are you good?
I'm great. Thanks
Awesome.
for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for doing
Let me
this.
know how I can
appreciate
help
it.
you.
I appreciate it. Likewise. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone.